Crash Course Live is presented by
Smash It Demolition Derby, who host Bash for Cash, Blizzard Bash, and Capital City Carnage. Online at smashitderby.com. And Stirring Dirt Racing, host of Maymania's team show at the Golden Spike Arena in Ogden, Utah. Online at stirringdirtracing.com.
Reckless Abandon Derby Apparel and Derby Inc. Magazine. This is the Crash Course Demolition Derby podcast, recorded live at the FingerLakes1.com studios in downtown Seneca Falls, New York. And now your host, Chris Marquardt.
Good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to this edition of the Crash Course Demolition Derby podcast. Excited to have you along for the ride this evening. Episode number 374 on deck as we continue the run-up to Blizzard Bash. Everybody has been talking about that big promotional weekend transpiring over the weekend. Realistic Derby Project hosting the virtual Blizzard Bash at the virtual Stormont Vale Event Center Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Did you run it or did you work it?
I worked it.
Gotcha.
Where else would I be?
Well, I knew you'd have something to do with it. I just figured with the legend you've become in driving cars on the computer that you'd be out there leading a team to victory.
No such fortune. Nope. I actually didn't even get asked because I was told you're going to be at the microphone, and it was a ton of fun. It was good. We're going to be catching up with Kody Koch here at the end of the show to talk a little bit about that with the Realistic Derby Project. We're also going to be talking with TJ McCullough. He's going to be breaking away for a few minutes from his preparation for the event with Buried Alive and Dead Man Derby down in Cumberland. But in the interim, before all of that stuff, a couple things that we want to try to get to. Among them, we want to catch up with Bo Lockwood, who's getting ready to head down to the Dead Man Derby. Should be fun. Before we get into that stuff, a couple little things we want to take care of. Northeast, of course, remembering Cliff Donnelly this weekend. Cliff succumbing to COVID. It was a tough break to learn about that guy. I don't think he ever had a turn in life that wasn't a tough one.
Yeah,
for sure.
A
very, very tough going, tough guy, gritty guy. Did some door wraps for him, did some roof signs for him. I remember at I think it was the Kings of Old School team show. He was one of the drivers that had the Crash Course cars. We did that with Josh and I think it was Joe Backus and Adrian Gilbert had the third one, and Cliff thought that was just so cool. Loved the Mopars. I remember he had, I think it was an Aspen.
Yep.
I want to say that was one of the cars that was the picture that was circulating. I remember the car, but I couldn't remember for sure what it was.
Yep.
And just a generally a pretty good guy.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
Certainly going to be missed.
For sure. Obviously our thoughts are with his family. But yeah, like you said, Cliff had it rough for a long time, and he didn't bitch, he didn't complain. He just went out and lived as normal of a life as he could. So definitely thoughts and prayers with his family.
We talk about underlying conditions and things, and his situation has been chronicled fairly well. Had to get out of the Derby a couple times to preserve his health. Had some things go on, and I'd like to think that instead of that being an underlying condition that caused a detriment, that hopefully the stuff that he went through earlier in his life bought him some extra time so that he got to enjoy Demolition Derby again, got to be around it and stuff, and definitely leaving a hole in a lot of hearts in the Northeast too. Living without Cliff Donnelly, so certainly, as you said, our thoughts, condolences, and well wishes out to those that are left behind, and hopefully he can find a little smoother path now.
No doubt.
But Corey Beal, he's had some loss too up in his life. We're thinking about him. Corey works extensively with the Realistic Derby Project and was giving away some skins to Wheelman Awards and hard hitters and stuff. And he endured a little bit of loss last week, so we're thinking about him. Had a chance to trade some messages and chatter and banter with him, which for whatever reasons, the way that life overlaps and stuff, we just don't generally get to do. So that was kind of fun to kind of get to know Corey a little bit better over the weekend with the virtual Blizzard Bash stuff. That was fun. On the topic of that, well, we'll save that. We'll double back to that. I got to get Bo Lockwood on the phone. Guy Raymond, remembering Cliff Donnelly. I can't tell what color. I think it's green and black hearts. I don't know if it's green and black or if it's green and purple. With the screen here isn't new.
Gotcha.
The Crash Course colors aren't orange on the screen, so
that happens.
Guy Raymond, he's there. Tommy Stark. coming
Picked
up with another win.
And I think he just lost his mother-in-law as well.
Really?
Yeah, I think I saw something about him losing his mother-in-law as well.
I didn't realize that.
I'm almost positive.
That's tough.
Yes.
That's no good at all.
Nope.
Well, Bo Lockwood's talking about taking a car down, and a couple of weeks ago, Bo put up a picture of a very, very nice round back.
Well, you know that's what Bo's taking.
So I don't know exactly what was happening.
That's just one of the ones in the backyard.
Yeah, just one of the many, right? So I don't know if that's the car that he's bringing down there, or if that had a different.
Bo's been working on that wagon since last year that he's taking down there.
He ended up 4th place last year, and I'm afraid that maybe we got a dead battery situation because now it's not even connecting.
Gonna have to use a cell phone. We've done that in the past. It's been a little while.
That or if he's where Bo lives, if he takes 2 steps outside of his door, he has 5 bars of service. If he goes inside of his garage, it's like a dead zone. So
yeah. Bo is kind of God's country.
Last I knew, anyway. I'm not sure. I mean, I assume he was still in that place.
Yeah, Bo had a real good run last year at Dead Man. Early on, he lost a right front tire and suspension and stuff, and he definitely would have been one of the cars to beat. He, as we know, Bo's a pretty voracious builder and an excellent driver as well. So yeah, I'm sure he's going back looking for. Trying to look for a little bit of redemption.
He's not the guy you want to give more motivation to.
No. Mad Mike, as he was getting ready, and took his Cadillac for a test drive and promptly broke the case off his transmission. So
that's his dead man car?
Yes.
Oh, no.
Yeah. That was last week that happened, so I'm sure by now.
Don't take this wrong, because I'm not picking on Mike, but why is it that's another guy that cannot... No matter, he could have started building that car last April, and this would have happened.
But you know what? Honestly, I think what it is Mike builds, 50, 60 demo cars a year, and they have got building those Fords down to a science. I think for these big shows, he should pull that. Whatever he's going to bring, pull it in on Monday, and it'll be ready on Friday, and good to go. And it's when he gets to put too much time into it, or does put too much time into it, he seems to have bad luck. But Mike will be there and be ready. We know that.
He'd have no luck at all.
Mike is definitely a one of those derby guys for sure.
All right, let's see. Bo's outside standing in the rain right now.
Well, at least it's not snowing. I mean, up on top of the mountain.
You know what might be happening? He's bear hunting.
Yeah. Yeah. Trying down at the Big Bruin.
There we go. I think we got him now. Maybe. So yeah, Tommy's Dark one. Hey, Bo. Let me put you in. Smash it. Release some of their rules for next year. After checking any of that stuff out. We'll probably dive into that a little bit here as we get further into the show. Let's see. Now it's me that we're waiting on. Bo is joining us on the line. Bo Lockwood, how are you, man?
Hey, I'm doing well. How are you guys doing?
What's going on, Bo?
So we were debating on which one of the roundbacks you were bringing.
I don't know. I found the rustiest one I could find, and I figured I'd put it together for this one.
See, we all know that's not true because you wouldn't buy anything with rust on it. So we know that's not true.
Oh, I got a few of them that are rusty, but no, this is we got 2 of them coming to this show, so it should be interesting to see what happens here.
Wow.
Nice. Wayne Sabins is in the chat saying that Bo Lockwood was the guy that they kept telling to hit last year because he was sandbagging.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's I don't know what happened. Something happened with my throttle. I couldn't get it to work. So I hate it when that happens.
Hey, but when that happens and they hand you a $10,000 check, the bank still cashes it, right?
I'll tell you what, that lady, that bank teller, she's never once asked me if I hit somebody really hard or not hard at all. So it's all good on that end.
You ain't kidding. You are not kidding, my friend.
So, Bo, you've been around Derby for... go ahead.
Nope, go ahead, go with it.
You've been around Derby a long time, and we've had these conversations at how the sport has evolved in the different steps with Metal Mayhem, and we've seen what Smash It has been able to do in terms of expanding the Bash for Cash, and And the longer we go down the timeline of Demolition Derby, the more big shows continue to come to the coast. And you guys have had your opportunities to do all sorts of big stuff with the Keystone Nationals in Pennsylvania. And here we are looking at another gigantic fall show. Derby doesn't even stop. I mean, as a fan of the sport, as a driver of the sport, as a promoter of the sport, what's your take on this and how things have exploded and what TJ's been able to do with the program down there in Maryland?
Oh my! It was funny. I was telling the guys in the garage the other day. I said back in 2003, 2004. I was looking at what I had in the yard. I had a couple wagons, and I thought to myself, I said, this is over soon. There's no way we're going to be running these kind of cars here in the next 5 years even, and let alone all these big money derbies showing up and all these, it just, to me, it's great. I mean, it just shows professionalism. You guys know I'm not really a fan of the county fair level, and
right.
Anytime you can put together, more of a professional approach to this sport. I mean, that's what we're looking for. I mean, that's how you attract big money sponsors. That's how you attract, at least get this sport out of the typical, hillbilly redneck genre that we're in, and kind of get us into more of a, hey, this platform deserves a higher setting, because it really does. I mean, if you look at the creativity with these guys and the promoters that are putting up the money they are, the drivers that are putting the amount of money into the cars that you're seeing, I come from a circle track world too, and I'm telling you that it's neck and neck. It's pretty wild.
Right, and you also start looking at some of the promotional materials from the '80s. It's sort of the same thing. It's 1,000 to win shows and stuff like that back then. Mm-hmm. Circle track or Demolition Derby, and it's really just turned the corner the last couple of years with, the stuff that Dirt Car's doing with the short track Super Series and being able to get those purses up out of kind of the Stone Ages.
Yeah, no doubt,
as it were.
It's definitely making promoters get creative. It's cool to see TJ doing some of the things he does. Obviously his show is not anywhere close to your derby that you would go to. I mean, they threw curveballs at me the entire time I was down there last fall, and even though it completely upset me, it still pulls me back in. It's just not your standard derby. If you're going to win there, well, you earned it. You did something that you kept going through the curveballs, and you kept doing the things that he's throwing at you. Well, if you at the end of the night, if you win that deal, I'd say you deserve it.
For sure.
How about you as?
But that's the thing. For me, that's the thing that promoters have to do. I mean, if you looked in the grandstands, they between booing me and screaming for those Reapers or whatever he calls them. I mean, those fans were going insane. So it was. I mean, as a promoter, what more could you want? I think that's the steps that this sport is going to have to take. You're really going to have to be creative and do things a little bit outside of the box, because these fans, and we all know that's where the money comes from. Yep. These fans are not going to continue to support promoters if they see this typical, just typical format that we're all used to.
True.
As a driver, do you like the curveballs?
I hate it. I like to have my cars done a little early, so I can spend a good part of my week just kind of getting in the right mindset, and I'll spend all week just trying to calm myself down and get into a mode to where nothing really bothers me too much, and then I show up and every curveball can get thrown just throws me right out of my groove. So, and it worked me over last year. I mean, I got in some bad situations, ended up losing steering, and well, the rest is history. But it's kind of hard as a competitor. It's kind of hard to shy away from that when it's a challenge. That kind of stuff's fun. But if you're asking me, would I prefer the old school? Well, absolutely. I like not having anything wild thrown at me 2 seconds before I go into the ring.
That's one thing. I was talking with Brett after the run last year, and that's what he said is that some of the the curves that TJ threw, he wasn't a big fan of. But he's like, you're there. You got to, everybody's in the same boat. Y'all got to deal with it. So, but obviously Brett's going back as well. So
you're not loading up because of a curveball.
Yeah. So it's
It's definitely. I mean, I would say as long as he doesn't get too stupid with them. He always promotes it and plans. He says you have no idea what's going on, or you have no idea what he's going to do next. Well, I'm cool with that. I'm all about that kind of stuff. But as long as it doesn't get to the point where it's junking my stuff in the first couple minutes and somebody else is able to just skate through the feature, that's where to get hairy. But TJ's a professional. He knows what he's doing, and I don't think he would ever throw anything at us like that. So that's why I feel safe and confident that this is going to be a good one.
Yeah, for sure. And I watched it last year, after on the replays and stuff, and it was definitely a good show. I mean, there was every type of drive in there that you want. I mean, there was guys that were junking cherry Cadillacs in 3-4 shots, and there was guys with suicides that were driving smart, and there was guys with suicides junking stuff, and it was there was guys it had everything that you need for in my humble opinion to have a good derby. So and you could hear the crowd. So I mean, that's always good when the crowd's making noise. So I think he's definitely got something good going. Hopefully this year continues with that, and it only continues to grow.
Yeah, that's for sure. I mean, I can tell you from experience, I've never had cars fly past me as fast as I had down there. I was in a dirt late model, and I got spun coming out of one of the turns, and I can remember. I mean, my car shut off immediately, and I was down in the turn, and I have had late models fly past me at full speed, and I'm telling you, I had a couple caddies go past me down there at that Derby that if they weren't as fast, they were just a little slower. It was insane how fast those cars were going.
That's terrific.
You just pray, you just pray that one's not eyeing you up.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, that's obviously, like we've mentioned, you've been around Derby for a long time. How long does it take you to weigh the benefits against the negatives in running a wagon? Because I mean, most places guys take a wagon, they're kind of of the odd man out. I mean, they kind of, guys want to pillar park and guys want to take the big shots on the wagon. I mean, you have to think about that a little bit as you're getting ready.
Well, for me, I mean, you get into a big track and you get into some guys that, they want to put the show on, want to bend these posts and, make it seem like they're really doing something. But in reality, all they're doing is helping me out. Yeah. I mean, that's the quicker I can get this body scraped off and out of everybody's eyes, the better off I am. They want to keep packing those posts in, let them do it, because eventually they're going to get to my frame rails, and with this roll package, those rails aren't bending. So. Yeah. In a way, keep doing me a favor. Keep driving them posts as deep into me as you can, because I do laugh a little bit every time I get hit there.
Yeah, and I mean, we've had the discussion with other guys, other wagon guys, and they kind of all say the same thing. As long as it's a pretty good roll package, you can keep the rear frame rail straight, and the body's kind of a whatever sort of deal. You hope it bends the way you want, and then you go back in and you do a little fine tuning on it for the feature, and usually they're pretty stout in the back end.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, every car has its positives and negatives, and for me, a wagon just in the back end, they last all night long. And it doesn't matter, and you can go to any style of rolls. You can go to bone stock rolls all the way up to the heavy modified stuff. It just seems. GMs in general, but it just seems that a good wagon that's built right, that has a good drivetrain in it, it just always seems to be there in the end. And I don't try to mess with what usually happens. I don't try to reinvent the wheel, and with that said, it just usually pans out. That's not saying that something bad doesn't happen to them here and there, but usually if you pick up a good clean wagon and especially if you're all right with taking a few good shots, well, you'll be okay.
Yep.
So, I don't know if you caught that. we started talking, it was a rusty wagon. And now it's like, you got to find a good clean one. You got to find a good clean one. All the wagon people that we talked to always say, you want to find a rusty one because all that means is metal repair.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Metal repair is a great thing, especially in our sport. But at the same time, I don't know if any of you guys have ever spent about 40 hours working on trying to repair rust in the back of a wagon. There's a lot of other things in this life I would rather do. And that's for sure.
I think a lot of guys in Ohio make a living out of that. They all seem to have rusty wagons when they come pulling them into Bash for Cash. They've all done their rust repair and all the strategic points. But it's crazy. Yeah. It is. It's the sport, man. And we've touched on it a million times. You got to fix a car to get it where you want it, and when you're going to a show this big, maybe you do push the rules a little bit because everybody else is. So, it's there's a lot of work that goes into a show like this, man. It's there's no just knocking the windows out and thinking you're going to compete.
Yeah, these shows are no joke, especially when you get into the super stock deal. You're restricted on what you can do, but you're also allowed to do quite a bit. So you really need to make sure you read the rules. And a buddy of mine just stopped by the garage just a few minutes ago just to once mine over before I put it in the trailer, and he picked up on a few things that I just wasn't looking at. So it's those little minute details that if you can finish them all up, you should stand a pretty good chance.
Yep.
The sum of all parts, right?
Sum of all parts. You aren't going to find one big thing, but if you find 4 or 5 little ones, it'll add up to a big one. So,
yep. Are you still running the Super Late?
It's amazing. It's amazing when you build a car and you look at it for 6 months and just sit there and look and look and look, and you spend all your time on it. It's amazing the things that your eye misses. And somebody can just walk in that knows what they're doing and just point a few things out to you, and you're just thankful for that person to be able to come in and and show you those things that you just straight out missed.
Yeah, I think sometimes that building over such a long period of time, I think that happens because you get used to looking and you kind of have an idea of what you want to do, and but somebody like you said, somebody that comes in and has a little different eye and a little different style goes, hey, what about that, or hey, how about this, and that's something else I've learned is, this game is always a learning game. There's always something new you can do. There's always, so it's.
Yeah, and the minute you think you have it all cornered and everything done perfect, somebody else is going to come out and show you otherwise. So. Oh yeah. It's always it's a fun part of this sport. It's definitely an aggressive and an ever evolving and changing sport. So if you don't stay on top of it, you find yourself in a real mess in a hurry.
Yeah, that's for sure. Now we've touched on, you've built different styles of cars over the years, and I'd say you've had a little bit of success here and there. Have you ever considered building one of the 03 and newer Fords? Have you ever looked one of those over and thought about it?
We call them shit boxes around here.
I feel the same way, but I'm not a builder, so I figured I'd ask you because you're a builder.
Honestly, and I'll admit this straight out, I had one pulled in the garage over the spring. I got the frame 3/4 of the way done, and I just couldn't handle it anymore. I hooked a chain to it and ripped it right out of the garage. They're just not my style. They're just not my thing. Some people have amazing luck with them. Yep. They're hard cars. No 03. None of that stuff for me.
That's what I like to hear.
When these wagons are all gone, I'm gone too. I have no interest in anything outside of what I run, I guess.
I can understand that completely. I mean, that's, I've obviously been to a few derbies this year, and I watch them on TV and on YouTube and stuff, and it's getting to be more and more all Crown Vics, and it's not as fun for me as watching the old iron. You know what I mean? It just doesn't do it for me the same way. Now, you go to Blizzard Bash or something like that, and obviously, they're sort of the car just out there sort of, and but it's not the same seeing 25 Crown Vics beat on each other as it is, 10 Mopars and 10 Chrysler wagons, or 10 Chevy wagons, and it's just not the same.
Well, even when it comes down to building these things, a lot of people say that how expensive it is to run old iron, and I agree. I mean, it's ridiculous how expensive it is to be in this sport. But even putting that frame together, if you're using reputable parts, now obviously anybody can build their own stuff and do just as well. But if you're building using reputable parts from these manufacturers, between ball joints, between new struts, uppers, lowers, and then you get into the Watts conversion brackets, and then the good trailing arms, and before you know it, I mean, I almost had as much tied up into the frame of one of these things as I would have had in a wagon.
Yep.
So it almost it makes you wonder, like, what really is it, the money, or is it just, I don't know. You can go a million ways with this stuff, and I think it all boils down to what do you truly like, and what are you passionate about, and that's what you go with.
That's the thing. Like, and you're the first one that's actually verbalized that. But everybody talks about how expensive old iron is. So you go buy a Crown Vic, and let's say you spend $600 on a Crown Vic, but like you said, by the time you buy all those parts to make that, for that Crown Vic to reach its potential, you got a nice little pile of cash sitting there. You know what I mean? It's So it's
no joke. It's these cars, and especially the ones that are competitive.
Yeah,
they're no joke. These things, everybody says they're cheaper, and they may be when you go to the lot to buy one for $500-$700.
Yep.
You really think you're getting a bargain.
Yep.
Unless you have all them parts to bolt on there, you might as well just go find yourself an old school GM and let it roll.
Yep, I agree.
But it's all what you want, and that is one other part of the sport that I love. Everybody has their, I just call it a flavor. Everybody has their flavor.
Yep.
I have parts. My rear ends are set up. Everything's set up for wagons, and that's what I run.
Yep.
If I was to run anything else, even a sedan, I would have to reinvent everything I got.
Yep.
So to me, it just makes more sense to spend a little bit of money, ahead of time.
Yep.
And then just move right into making my life just a little bit easier.
Absolutely. Now, do you have, and I've talked to other wagon guys, do you have a specific model that you prefer, or no? As far as the wagons?
As long as it's a 71, 72, or a 73, I'm happy.
Okay.
I don't care make or model. Obviously, the Chevys, there's so many different parts and pieces, and I do frame shop. I mean, I hardly ever. I make sure that I have a certain kind of frames I like to run. I have a certain kind of bodies, but the bodies are just typically 1, 2s, and 3s.
Yep, gotcha. Understand.
Yep.
Very busy.
And unfortunately, I'm running a 74, so we'll see how that works out.
Well, hopefully it goes your way. Looking to get on the podium this time. What's it going to take to keep the steering in it?
Oh my gosh, me to keep my head. If I can stay calm and stay collected, we should be okay in this one. It's we'll see what happens though. It looks like the weather forecast. As a promoter, I used to hate rain, but as a driver, especially on a track that big, and we all know what happens to packed in clay when it gets wet, it starts to get a little bit greasy. Mm-hmm. So when it's dry, there's not much I can do about my surroundings, but it's wet. When it is wet, I can start to, it starts to even out the odds a little bit. Those cars that are hard up front, they don't carry as much strength as they would as much as what I would have. So
right.
I'm going to pray for a little bit of rain, and if I don't get it, well, we'll be okay anyhow. But if we do get it, I think life's looking pretty good for the wagons.
You said that when the wagons run out, then you're gonna maybe take your exit from Demolition Derby. You've come back to it a couple times. My first question there was, as we wrap up here, is: are you still doing the stuff with the late models?
Actually, my plan is to make that exit pretty quick here, maybe even and probably this year, because the dirt track stuff's starting to look pretty appealing again. I'm just laying in the dirt and welding and grinding and torching all day long. It's starting to get old. And if you're doing that stuff on a late model, you got big problems. So
True.
I think I'm probably going to make that move. I'm going to make that move a lot sooner than most people realize.
Well, that sort of heads off my next question. Then is it something that we're going to see with enough big shows close to home? Is there any likelihood that we're going to see you venturing out to some of these other bigger shows that are happening outside of the regular season? You know, there's all sorts of options in January and February now. There's of course, this time of year, everybody's talking about making the trip out to Topeka. Bash for Cash has all sorts of different options, stuff available. Is that something that's on the radar, or are we just going to wrap up what we got here and get back to the circle tracks?
I don't know. Looking forward, I have a few cars left, so it'd almost be a shame to not use them up.
Right.
But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens there. Obviously, the big shows are always, have a special place for me. Mm-hmm. If you can get all fired up and all nerved up, and that's where it's at. And the county fair level used to do it for me, and once you started to lose that feeling a little bit, then I ventured into some bigger shows, and I got that feeling back again. And and I just it'll definitely be bigger shows if I run again, but it's looking like this circle track car is definitely gonna. It's going to take a little bit of my time here moving forward.
Sure thing. Well, hopefully you can go out with a bang. We look forward to hearing some information about some good luck for you down there at Buried Alive too.
Yeah. That's I got the big boys with me. I got Redline. Even Brent Johnson. He's pulling my catering wagon down. So
Nice.
I got my good luck charm with me.
Good
yeah,
deal.
he's going to be with me. So Redline there. It's always nice when. A lot of people always say about their engine builders, how they got the best. Well, I do, and mine travels with me. So I really like that. And, Casey and Chance with SMW, they're always with me. And it's kind of hard to not feel anything but positive with the right crew with you. So I'm looking forward to it, and we'll get down there and see what happens.
Excellent.
Awesome, Bo. We wish you the best of luck. Always good to catch up with you. And I'll probably be calling you here before too long to find out more about that late model as that gets a little closer too.
Hey, anytime. I like talking that kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
So, I appreciate it, guys. Thank you very much. And if you guys are down there, I'll see you. But if not, well, hopefully we're talking soon.
For sure,
Absolutely.
man. You take care. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, guys. Have a good one. Thank
See
you.
you.
There goes Bo Lockwood checking in. I hope he does well down there. I hope everybody does well. I mean, I get in trouble when I say sentences like that.
It's hard. I mean, we know a couple drivers. We know a couple of the competitors, so it's hard to. We wish they all have a great show.
Just have a good show. Everybody get back safe. Somebody a little bit more rich. Boy, it's been busy in the chat. I'm going up here to the top. Scott Drevenak checking in. Hopefully he's still with us and he didn't move on. Alex Vasco, Pork Chop hanging out there. Scott Kiefer saying good win this Sunday. Did you play
Giants.
this Sunday? Oh. He referenced the Giants further down. Tyler Smay, he's trying to get his dead man car finished up. I think Guy Raymond's getting ready to go down there. Like we talked about, Mike DeFriscio's making the trip down. It is going to be busy. Hunter Wood checking in. We talked about Wayne Sabins. Somebody checked Wayne Sabins by saying boozer still cheers. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Dale Pollock, he's in the chat. Chris Polly asking who's ready for Blizzard Bash. I think everybody's ready for Blizzard Bash. TJ says he's going to make sure that everybody suffers equally.
That's the spirit.
Wayne Saban says if it's anything like No Mercy, it's gonna hurt. Yeah, it's probably the case. It's fast track and hard hitting, says Brian Collins. Eugene Williams, this is one of the best comments that we've had so far. The biggest problem for the sport is that people put down the kick the glass out and go classes. I don't think that that's the biggest problem facing it, but the fact that one class tends to look down on others as being not as good or not as valued, it's still entertainment, it's still the show. And what direction is the sport trending right now? It's heading back towards the stock stuff. Who's got the most entries at Bash for Cash? The 80s wire class.
Yep.
So, yeah, I mean, I like seeing cars that are falling apart when the Derby's over with.
Yes.
And the kick the glass out cars are falling apart when the Derby's over with. Who's ready to watch Vicks and Imps on Sunday? That's Brian Collins. Need lots of rain. The promoters never use enough water on the track. There's safety to be tended to. Alex Vasco getting ready to go down there. Larry Sullivan checking in. And Matt Evans, make junk and be safe. Running through all of that stuff. So real quick, before we dive into some of the ad spots, the Smash It season has come to a close. Many thanks to all the sponsors and fans that had made the season possible. Let's get that out of the way. The season wrapped up October the 23rd with a fall cleanup show at the Fayette County Fairgrounds in Washington Courthouse, Ohio. That was the most recent event. Modified Class Act Lease got the win over Curtis Turner. Is that the NASCAR guy? Probably not.
Probably not. That guy's dead.
End of year pro stock. Brett Petro got the win over Case Back. Full-size trucks, Matt Clinard got the win over Tim Selt. Smash It Mini Cars, Jordan Rutherford got the win over David Tillery and Jaron Rutherford. That's all the HTRC reunion there. And the Smash It Compact, Street Stock, Full-size Heat Seth Vickers got the win over Matt Tackett. Number 2 for the Street Stock Full-size, Bryce Clifton over Jeremy Singleton. Ricky Hammer over J.D. Loreen in the Street Stock Mini Car. Charlie Richards got a win in Mini number 2 over Tyler Carber. Tyler Collins over Jacob Evans in number 3. Street Stock Minivan Truck SUV, Dusty Fout over Don Bunn. Youth Mini Mason Stacy over Scott Drevenak and Mitch Adams for Smash It. The updated point standings are as follows. Steven Sickles, 166 points. Mason Stacy jumping up to second place in the Virtual Unified Point Series standings with 96 points. Terry Abadi with 90. Terry right there on Mason's heels. There are only 4 shows to go. Dan Roos sits fourth with 74. Ricky Duggins taking fifth place from TJ McCullough with 66. You can stay up to date online with the 527 Unified Series on 527unifiedseries.com. Next event is going to be Buried Alive, the 29th through the 31st in Cumberland, Maryland, with Dead Man Demolition Derbies. After that, November the 6th is Buchanan Edwards Winter Destruction. Then Koch Promotions Turkey Derby in Connorsville, Indiana, the 27th and 28th. And Young and Reckless Winter War Zone in White Pine, Tennessee will finish the season on the 4th of December. We've been talking a lot about it. Blizzard Bash 2.0, Wednesday the 10th is live heat draws at 8 p.m. Thursday, national qualifying team round number 1 on Thursday the 11th. The 12th of November is national and qualifying round number 2, 80s bone stock and the street stock weld on the program there. Double program on Saturday, compact and limited weld team opening rounds in the morning with trucks and limited weld events going off, and then the national qualifying B features compact, limited weld B features, mod, and front wheel drive hobo stock also on the card for the afternoon. Sunday, November the 14th, the 4-team features Championship Sunday, the limited welds, the compacts, qualifying, and national team, plus the 2-man extreme classes. For additional details and streaming information, visit blizzardbash.com. All right, the 6:30 is right on time. Covered all of that stuff. 12,000 to win super stocks at the Graveyard Rumble for TJ McCullough. We'll be talking with him here in just a few minutes. Graveyard Rumble, Joker Compact Rumble, 12,000 win super stocks. That's no joke. We talked about the Unified Point Series and Jeffy's Fab Farm. Jeffy's Fab Farm. He's been busy. There's something going on down there. I think he's making space in the shop for something. There's got to be
big.
Something's going on down there. Oh, right. I'm sorry. Tiffany Koch checking in. That show did move. The Turkey Derby is going to be in Wabash, Indiana. I remember there was something going on there. I can't remember what the circumstances were, but that show did move. I got to fix that. Jeffy's Fab Farm, jeffysfabfarm.com, industry leader in all manner of purpose-built parts. He had a picture of one of the Jeffy's Fab Farm LS's in a road car, and some people were kind of scratching their head about why a Derby engine was in a road car. It's like, well, he does everything. And if it has a motor, he can put one in it.
Oh, yeah.
Jeffy's Fab Farm, they got the Camry in the Box campaign. That's good for the compact guy. His retail price of $525. You need to make sure you ask about the multi-fit shifter options, rear end stacks, you name it, he's got it. Turnkey solutions for wins. It's consistent results across North America. Make a phone call. Check them out, jeffysfabfarm.com. And then Smith Metalworks, we heard talk about them when Bo was on. They're going to be making the trip down to Buried Alive with Bo Lockwood, all-purpose fab shop that is taking the Northeast by storm. They're also going to be working on Blizzard Bash cars as they're getting ready to make the trip out to Topeka. Mm-hmm. They got the super stock bumper. It can be run loaded or run hollow. Cut it down so you can put it on the compact. They've got Kern Victor skins, battery boxes, mounting systems for engines, pedal combos, and shifters. everything that you could need, want, or ask for. GM Floor Liners, that's how you fix those rusty wagons.
Yes, it is.
In-person locations for pickup in Mercer, Uniontown, Bethlehem, smithmetalworks.info. They can get it shipped right to your door. All right, so we've covered all of that stuff. Everybody loves to hear from the local trains as they work their way through. We got stars sent on the train. I mean, we need. I'll take it. Whatever works. All right, yeah. So Tiffany will make that correction here on that as well. So we're gonna get TJ on the phone real quick. He'll pop in for a minute, and then we'll be on our way to catching up with Kody Koch. Anything good going on over there? Are you checking your Insta account?
No, what's that?
Instagram. Hey.
Excuse me.
There is TJ joining us. TJ, Bo sounds pretty excited about the show, and I saw your comment about everybody is going to suffer equally. Care to tip your hand at all on any of the surprises?
Oh, well, I can tell you this much. One of the great things about throwing surprises and wrenches into everybody's, plans and doing all the evil stuff, as they say, that I like to do is sometimes less is more. Mm-hmm. Just knowing that they're thinking I might completely mess with them is just enough joy to keep me up at night. So I'm having a blast. I might not be doing anything at all. I might be doing 5 different things, but when I say, we hate everybody equally, everybody will suffer equally, what I mean by that is I can assure you that anything that we will do, and I think that's one thing that every driver would appreciate, is that if it affects me, it needs to affect everybody exactly the same. And that's one thing we always make sure that we do. Any ideas that I come up with, I do always check and say, listen, is there anything that could, awkwardly affect, one driver compared to the next, et cetera, et cetera. And at the end of the day, if one driver doesn't like to drive hard and I say, you know what, we're going to pay $5,000 for a Reaper tonight, yeah, they're not going to enjoy that, but everybody can go for that $5,000, so you just never know what I'm going to do or what I'm not going to do, and it might just have the same effect.
So I was texting back and forth with Triple H, as I often do on Monday mornings, and I was told that you've approached the idea of a Halloween Havoc type spin the wheel from the old WCW spin the wheel stuff from the pay-per-views, and one of them is going to be screwdriver or tire, and you have to pick the corner. So they go out with a flat tire. There's going to be all this. Is there any truth to that? Like, have you got Halloween Havoc?
I don't know who you were talking to, but I had a serious wheel conversation with one of the drivers that was running the show, and I just said, listen, we might line you up in 4 lines, and there's going to be a big giant wheel at the front, and I'm going to say, you can park in any line you want, but you seal your own fate. When I spin that wheel, that it's going to match up to line number 1, and that's what you're going to do. I might say, hey, listen, you're going to go in there. We're going to take 3 Reapers out of 10 cars or whatever we're going to do. Who knows? I mean, a wheel sounds cool. Get one of the kids in the crowd to spin it. Yeah, that way they all hate the kid and not me.
Hey, listen, they only hate you till the end of the night. You hand out all that cash and they love you again. It's great how it works.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny because we started out at $10,000 to win that super stock class, and we kicked it up to $12,000 this year. I actually announced that on Crash Course Live. Thank you for that platform. And then I said, you know what? We have such a high interest. I don't think anybody would complain about more money. Let's add another 25 entries and make it $15,000. So it's actually $15,000 to win. But to be honest with you, that's just the beginning of where we're at. I mean, we're paying out around $72,000 throughout this weekend coming, and from top to bottom, it's going to be exciting. I mean, I'm actually really excited for just the bone stock compact heat. I know a lot of those guys get a lot of flack. They're filler classes. Well, not at our show. At Dead Man, everybody's important. Everybody gets treated like a king. We are so excited to see what some of these Reapers are going to do in that class. I mean, it's bone stock, but I know 4 guys that are absolutely foot to the floor going to send it in that class. I can't wait.
I don't like the term filler class. I don't have a problem with the term support class.
Yeah.
I mean, you're supporting.
I just hate it.
I don't like the filler term though.
Yeah. No,
well,
for sure.
I came from those filler classes, if you will. If you want to call them a filler class, I was that, and I still run those. And I hated feeling like I remember sitting in a tech line. I would never ever say where it was, but I sit in the tech line, and I was talking about something, with my car, and saying, and one of the officials looked at me and said, "Oh, shut up! You're just a filler class anyway."
And I'm like, oh, man. I was like, if I'm ever a promoter one day, I would never do that to my guys. Like, it made me feel like 2 inches tall, and I was like, man, I hate that, because let me tell you right now, like, this guy doesn't know that this little filler class car that I'm running, it was a compact I was running. I was like, this little compact, I ran out of town. I brought 15 people through the gate just to watch me run in the grandstands, and I brought 7 people in the pits to help me work on the car. And I'm like, dude, I just basically paid for, like, your entire payout for my class, because they were only paying $500 to win, by the people I brought through the gate. Like, don't make fun of filler classes. Don't make fun of compacts. Don't make fun. We love every single class equally. The big money classes, they just attract a different breed of people. Like, Bo, in my opinion, is one of those guys. He's about as close to a NASCAR driver as they get in the demolition derby world. Right. He looks the part. When he talks about it as a professionalism thing, like, he does. He's got his sponsors. He has his setup. It's nice. It's neat. It's clean. He likes the old school, just show up and drive and put the wheel in my hand and I'm going to beat you. And then we also have in our sport, there's guys that are like, he referred to the old hillbilly kind of things. We do have that, reputation of being that redneck, no teeth, no education kind of. It isn't like that anymore. No. Even your guys with the big beards, the big beer bellies and everything, like you're cut from that kind of cloth guys. They are geniuses. And what they can come up with do these cars, it ain't a redneck thing anymore. No,
that's for sure. And that's the thing. I mean, we've, Chris and I have been lucky. We've been to a lot of shows and seen a lot of stuff. And I'm here to tell you that some of the best heats I've ever watched were the support heats, because they're thankfully a lot of the support heats are getting better payouts now. But I mean, they're guys that come in and they just, they will come in and put on a show and they're happy with what they get. And, it isn't, that there isn't as much drama, and it's almost more pure. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have, this guy's working with this guy and this and that. It's just, guys show up and go, hey, I'm going to go out and I'm going to drive the hell out of this thing. And if I happen to win, then that's great. And that's, we've seen some great runs in support classes. And I agree. I definitely, I like them. There is one support class that if I never watched it again, I would be okay with that, but I would never say it over air. So, you guys could guess, but I mean, for the most part, I mean, we've seen some great filler runs. I mean, sometimes, the guys that are supposed to be putting on the show don't, and we've been exposed to that firsthand, and it seems hard.
Like the less of the build, the less build time required to run it, the more likely it gets lumped into that filler class. You're not going to walk up and tell the outlaw cars, the Clausens and Matt Tice, who was driving the Songalewski car, that they're going for $2,500 to win in that mod class at Capital City Carnage a couple years back. You're gonna tell them that they're a filler class? No. It just that phrase doesn't even cross your mind. And it goes back to what that comment was. I can't remember who said it about the whole the fact that the kick the windows out classes get looked down on. I mean, everybody walks away by the wire classes are the class of the show on Saturday at Bash for Cash.
Oh yeah, I mean that's I would go out on a limb, and it's the 70s wire class is one of the most looked forward to classes at Bash for Cash, because those guys are nuts, and it doesn't matter who the guys are, because it's not like it's been the exact same guys year after guys or gals year after year. I mean, they show up and those guys just bring it. And that's
the different people entering. It's the same people winning.
Well, I mean, Tiffany and Mike haven't won in a little while, but this year the money came back to New York.
Yeah, because Adrian and that group keep cleaning house. Everybody wants to steer clear of them now.
Yeah.
TJ, we have a logistics question for the schedule. What time is the autograph session that you were going to be hosting at Buried Alive? Alex Vasco wants to know because he's got to get the camera set up.
Oh my gosh. Oh my Lord. Here we go. You always got them in the crowd out there. They always heckling. Autographs. Listen, he doesn't have to pay for one. Tell him if he kind of like gets me at the right time, I might just sign his hat or something like that and move on. I don't want to make Alex, pay for one, but oh my! Let me touch back on what you were talking about. Ignore that one. I love the wire classes because I participated in a lot of wire classes. The only thing I hate about them is I hate the actual being in the 90-degree heat. Wiring a car is miserable, but it does make you have to drive differently. And I agree. Bash for Cash, when we would go to Bash for Cash, I was like, I don't care what other class I'm into tech line for or whatnot, but I'm telling you right now, if I'm in tech and the 70s wire class is on the track, I'm leaving. They can tech my car. I'm going and watching it. Like, I am going to watch that. It is one of the most iconic classes ever. It lived up this year. Andrew Myers stood the nose of that Cadillac so high. Oh my gosh, it was wonderful. And yes, watching Tiffany and Mike Klinger go at it out there, and they had a great run for a couple years out there. That was a great show. But yeah, them wire classes do not get enough credit. And I'm telling you, you watch our bone stock, I think you're going to see an amazing show. We have a lot of local guys here that like to put on a show and can drive, and we got a lot of out-of-towners coming for that bone stock. And I know a couple of them are in that Unified Point Series Mad Dog chase. I don't want to give too many names away, but you might be able to figure that one out.
TJ, just a little off topic, but I got to ask you before it slips my mind. Is the trophy from Iron City National still sitting in the living room?
I still haven't taken it off, man. I can't put it on the mantle.
All right, just making sure.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, like, that was a huge win for me. It was huge for just feeling good about where I am in my spot in Demolition Derby, as I refer to as the mid tier, and trying to climb up to that next level. And it was a good one. And man, I tell you, I think about it every single day. I haven't even touched the car yet to like cut it apart. I actually got in it and took it off the trailer after I finally got it back on the trailer, Chris, because last time we talked, I got it stuck halfway on the trailer. Mm-hmm. Got it off the trailer and set it on the ground, and my buddy has a junkyard, and I said, hey, do you mind if I run this thing a little bit into some of these cars? And he was like, go ahead, man. He said, just don't break anything. And I'm like, okay. So I went back in there and for like 10 minutes just beat the living daylights out of pre-ran Derby cars with that thing, just having a blast, because I just wanted to just be in the car again.
That's terrific. That's an awesome story.
That's so much fun. The only bad part was I actually hit one of my W bodies a little bit further up than I wanted to, and absolutely laid the wheel completely over and broke it. So,
whoops.
It is what it is.
If I was you, I'd set that out in the front yard and put Christmas lights on it. But that's just me.
I said the same thing in front of my son, and my wife looked at me and she rolls her eyes and like, no. And Brooks was like, oh my gosh, that's a great idea. And I just looked at him and I said, ask Mommy if it's okay.
Absolutely, because she could tell you no, but she's probably not going to tell him no, so it'll work out.
Exactly. So, maybe it's still put together because we'll have a nice yard decoration, but I'm sure my neighbors already hate all my lawn decorations. They're like, what in the world is this guy doing all year long?
Yeah, I know that feeling.
Kayla's at the chat, and she's not a fan of your advice.
That's all right. I won't be in Maryland this weekend, so she won't be able to throw anything at me or anything, so we're good.
Oh, shout out to her, though. I got to say it over the air for everybody listening. She is absolutely incredible. If anybody thinks that I do this on my own, they are crazy. She does so much to make Dead Man work. That's the Dead Girl right there, unveiling an awesome full line of Dead Girl apparel this weekend, which is going to be absolutely awesome. She's the face of the trailer. She's my queen, and she's the only reason that I am able to do what I do for everybody. So if you like something I'm doing, it's because she's doing something good on the other end and making me the man I am. So shout out to her. I love you, baby.
Cool.
Jared Blades in the chat, taking a different perspective on stuff. I like it. It's always good to have some debate in there. So Jared, appreciate you listening and hanging out with us for a little while. Hunter Wood, he did the Christmas lights a couple years ago, and it was a hit on his street. And,
the Snyder brothers used to do it years ago.
Yeah.
Because they lived near each other, so they'd park cars in their front yards, and it's cool.
You should do it.
Yeah.
I don't got one car.
I'm not like a lot of these guys that have a lot of cars to choose from that they won that they can decorate their front lawn with. Like I haven't had many big wins and everything like that. So I'm sure there's other guys out there like, Jonathan Hyman with his 105.5 cars he could put on his front lawn and celebrate all that. You'd have a hell of a Christmas decoration going on there.
No doubt.
Very good. Well, we real quick. Well, we got an opportunity. We have a live update on the points.
Uh-oh.
Actually, the points website for Mark Elliott hadn't been updated with this weekend from the last Smash It show. Steven Sickle still up front with 166. Mason Stacy still with 106. Terry Abadi up to 90 points now. Dan Roos with 74. Jordan Rutherford with that win jumps up into a tie for fifth. 66 points for Jordan and for Ricky Duggins there. So just making sure that we keep that as accurate as we can. We got that information out there as well. Buried Alive, again, it's a 3-day show this weekend. It's the $15,000 to win super stock event down there in Cumberland, Maryland. You can jump online and find out more with Dead Man Derby, or you can look TJ up. I'm sure he's not doing anything this week. He'll be able to answer your messages post-haste, be able to get all those details cleared up. It's going to be aired live on Track Shot, right? It's going to be out there for all 3 days.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So if you can't make the trip down,
Sounds like Alex is taping as well.
Alex is going to be taping. He always loads the stuff up after the fact. He's got trackside views with that. So you can watch it live, then you can go on demand and watch it there. And we'll be back here again on a couple weeks to give the full recap on that, because we are knocking on the door of Blizzard Bash too. We haven't even begun going through the teams and stuff, so we got to kind of break some of that stuff down. I think we've got one more Monday before we start worrying about Blizzard Bash. Yeah, I think we've got one. Nope. We got one more Monday on the 1st. And then, so we'll be able to break all that stuff down, and then we'll start looking at some teams from Blizzard Bash. It's going to be a busy couple weeks, and then we get to get into some of the fun part of the season where we get to talk about people and their backgrounds and the stories instead of just wins and shows that are coming up. So that'll be pretty good. TJ, any final thoughts here before we let you go?
Guys, I just thank you. I know you guys, if you're taking a minute just to kind of listen here, and you're in the garage and you're not sure if you're going to get it done, keep working away. You don't want to miss it. Guys, if you've never witnessed Dead Man in person, you got to come see it. It's going to be absolutely awesome. I'm gonna entertain you from start to finish. The only thing I can guarantee, you might love me or hate me, but I will entertain you. I guarantee that. Other than that, guys, I just really appreciate the platform to continue to progress Dead Man all across the country with what you guys do. Really wish we were getting to see you guys this weekend soon enough. I know. I know you guys are super pumped. We got a lot of New York guys coming down. I got a question for you. Do you think the money's coming back to New York?
Yes.
It is. It's coming back.
I think so.
I know they've been calling it out. There's a lot of great drivers coming. I have a feeling there's a lot of checks going to be written and heading back to New York. So you guys will have your your plate full with those guys.
It'd be just fine.
Yep.
Good problem to have.
Absolutely, guys. Well, God bless you all. You have a wonderful evening. It's good talking to you.
You
Have a
too.
good one,
We'll catch you
TJ.
soon.
All right, bye.
We're running a little bit late.
Well, it's part of the deal.
Happens sometimes. It's a nice part of it being on a Monday. There's nobody else coming in.
True.
Cody's frustrated that we're making him wait. I told him around 6:45, and here it is 6:57. He's threatening to not take my call now. If he's not important enough, why did we even schedule him? All that kind of stuff. Best show on the East Coast, says Chad Friend. Interesting. Hey, Cody. Let me put you in. So there's Kody Koch joining us here online. Cody's got all sorts of stuff going on in the last 48 hours or so. We learned a little bit more about the battle at Daytona, and then, as we said here, the Turkey Derby show is going to be changing. Also, the virtual Blizzard Bash was this weekend, and Koch Fabrication, Koch Racing, the team pulled down the W in the national bracket, and we also had 4 teams winning their way into the national bracket after a couple teams were dropped out because of losses. So Team Prodigy, Marty Sager, Lee Seeger, that group, they all won their way in, so they're going to be in the draw in 2022. Team Ruts Fab, which is Nick King and his group, they won their way into the national draw next year. Cody's Custom Paint, which is Cody Rates and Dylan Pies, that group, those guys won their way in. And the Gladiator Pit, which is James McLean from right here in Waterloo. He worked with John Alexander Trey Welch, and Hitman Homan from out in Nebraska. Those guys won their way in too. So the bracket getting a little bit more thick and more intense. Nice. But for Kody helping his team pull down that $2,000 payday, and I heard a number of times through the course of the weekend where after guys finished, just exasperation, just like, I need to go wash my hands because my hands are so sweaty, which was really funny. Kody, how did the final minutes play out there for you on the virtual Blizzard Bash?
The final minutes, I'm not sure who was breathing for me because I wasn't.
The intensity certainly amped up for the course of that one. It came down to Kody and Kelby Miners, and as good as the show was, all weekend ended up with a bumper stuck on a quarter panel. So it was sort of this bang play and trying to make everything, work out so that it was fair for everyone. It was really, really intense in the last little bit.
A little sticky?
No, not sticky like the old days. Just happened to be a bumper got up into a pillar and hung up that way. So it was a matter of controlling and did you turn into it? Whose hit was it? So it got a little spirited there at the end. But and who hasn't been to a Blizzard Bash when it didn't get spirited at the end, right?
Sometimes they get spirited.
When I was watching that play out, I was thinking of Sam Williams standing on the wall when Team Kansas and Team IFD came to a rest nose to nose against the dead car, and I was like, "This is no one's having fun right now."
Yeah,
but it was really cool. Hunter Wood didn't get a chance to run with the team. Jeremiah Nightsall, Connor Hodson, and Jacoby Manuel. Right? I get everybody right?
Nope.
No, I didn't. Nope, that was the Wiggs team. That wasn't even the right team. Who did you drive with?
Justin Nugent, Jacoby Manuel, Earl Raffett, myself.
That's it. Yep. I apologize. Earl was the guy that won Bash for Cash earlier this year.
Nice.
Yeah, so he's had a pretty good year.
Doing all right.
But this time of the year, it gets a little bit busy for Kody. Unfortunately, not going to be able to make the trip out to Blizzard Bash, but you got some more stuff coming down the line. It's going to keep you occupied from now till the end of the year.
Yep, we got Turkey Derby not too long after Blizzard Bash, which makes for a pretty busy month for this family. And then not that long after that, at New Year's, we got the Daytona Beach show, which I'm really excited about and a little nervous because, Derby cars on the beach, but it's cool.
I think Derby cars on the beach is a little misleading. The surface is concrete. There's not going to be any discussion about sand or surface or packing or base or clay or equine arena, any of that stuff. You guys are running on the concrete, which is there's some drivers that's a completely new concept to them. They just haven't been around it. Back in the day, it used to happen fairly frequently.
Yeah, we have seen the struggles over the years from when Iron City Promotions had it. And when they asked us to take it over, we really appreciated it. They thought of us first, and we all agreed on the team that under no circumstance would we ever make the drivers run on a track surface that wasn't going to hold up.
Concrete will do that.
Concrete fixes that. You're not going to dig a hole.
Nope. I think you ought to make it really interesting and cover it with Coke syrup so everything gets super bite. You'll be pulling wheelies out there. That would be awesome.
Well,
and,
go ahead.
For any drivers that are listening that have been asking, we are going to put soapy water down because I know there were mentions of a few drivers getting hurt recently on asphalt tracks and things like that. Mm-hmm. A track that is properly watered and soaped, you're not going to run into that. It's just like running on anything else. Sometimes it's even slower pace. So our big thing is going to be safety in mind. We're going to make sure that you're not going way too fast down the track and trying to hit somebody in the front side of their headrest from the back end and putting them through a wall and everything else,
And Blue Dawn smells cool when it boils.
Yeah.
The soaked tracks on the asphalt, there's nothing, you get those side shots where you try to sway the frames and the nose. They're running a stock class, and there's a 70s class, there's some minis, and then a 2-man extreme class. You get on a clay surface, not quite like Blizzard Bash. Blizzard Bash is more along the lines of like
asphalt.
Concrete, yeah. But you get on a dirt track like the county fair, you get a hit from the side and it sways and the wheels hook in and they start causing all kinds of chaos. This here on the concrete, you might just make the hits and the car's just going to slide out of the way. It's just going to keep circling around. You're going to see the Blizzacs doing more work than the Ag tires are.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what the tire of choice is down there.
So that's going to be December 31st and January 1st. It's New Year's Eve and New Year's Day at that Ocean Center Arena in Daytona Beach. There are some registration spots still available in the 70s class and in the 2-man class. Koch Racing Promotions has that available on the online website. And before we get down there and get the chance to do that, you've got the Turkey Derby, which has moved this year. I caught little pieces of that and forgot about updating it for the stuff on the Unified Point Series spot. That has moved to Wabash this year.
Yes. Yep, Wabash is actually our hometown.
Oh, okay. So is that just something of a bit of a throwback? The opportunity came up to move it closer to home, and you took that opportunity?
Yeah, we had to make some moves. Things happen, and we decided, why not take the 5th show from us doing it in Tim's name back to our hometown, because it was available and they were willing to work with us, and it was just something cool to do. I think there's going to be a lot of locals that remember watching a lot of the classic drivers that still come to the Turkey Derby because they remember running when Tim Tigert had it. That's was it 27th and the 8th? Yeah, 27th and the 28th. It's the weekend right after Thanksgiving.
Yep, and that's going to be in Wabash. The Koch Promotions Turkey Derby going to be the 27th and 28th, and then we are literally ending the year with a Derby and starting it within a couple hours of each other with the battle at Daytona Beach, which I think there was a couple New Year's Eve Derbies attempted a couple years ago. There was one in Idaho, and I think Johnny Gullo tried to do one, and I think Sam Williams had one at one point as well, the New Year's Eve Derbies. It's just cool.
We talked about doing one at the parking lot at Holiday Inn.
What?
We talked about doing one at the parking lot at the Holiday Inn.
Yeah, a little different story.
Oh,
these were actual derbies instead of somebody winning a raffle car and deciding to go. Story for another time. we'll get into that sometime when the microphones aren't on. But I think it's cool that that's coming back. And honestly, from where we live, there's probably not a much better place to be than in Daytona Beach in December and January, because up here it's not all that pleasant, really.
No, it's a little chilly usually.
And I've had a lot of people that were actually not having to beg their wives to let them travel halfway across the country to go to a derby, but the wives were trying to talk the guys into building a car to go halfway across the country because they wanted a nice vacation out of it with the kids.
Yep, that's happy wife, happy life, man. If you convince someone to go to Daytona and happen to smash a car, that's a good deal for everybody.
That's awesome. Is there anybody that's helping make those shows possible? I know you guys got quite the team around you in terms of the planning team and the grounds crew and everything that makes the show actually get off the ground. You got any sponsors or anybody that you want to recognize for those two events?
Yeah, it's a long list, and I know I won't remember everybody, so if you will let me know who you are, and I appreciate it. A few particular people that stand out is Nick Glassburn with OFR. Has always backed us. He's always been around the family. He's a great dude and would literally give you his last of anything in the world if you only had one of and needed a second. Like, he would do anything. The whole Glassburn family is that way. They're really great. of course, pork chop and everything he does. You know, if he's not working the track in or helping run a loader or telling the drivers they need to wrap it up so he can watch the kicker class so that he can drive clear all across the country to go to work, cooking. I mean, Chop does it all.
Yes, he does.
For sure. Awesome. Jump online if you're looking for additional details on those two shows. Koch Racing Promotions. Just throw it into. There's information on Facebook. There's information on the old internets as well, and you can get ticket information for the battle at Daytona Beach, and also registration information for those two classes that still have open spots. And of course, Kody and the crew, congratulations on the win. Jacoby Manuel taking one of the Mad Dog Awards through the course of the weekend, which was great to see at the virtual Blizzard Bash. And Dustin Nugent, he had a heck of a run going in that one. And Earl Reef, man, you can't second guess Earl. He's a heck of a driver in his own right. And Kody, hopefully everybody left happy for the most part. I know there was some discussions happening there at the end. Kelby Miners and the Team PB&J and Ham crew, Bryson Valentine, Parker Michaels, and Fathead Jay Arnold coming away with second place. It was a battle, man. It was just like watching Blizzard Bash. Half the cars went to the top of the track, and it was a team 4-on-4, and then down at the bottom it was 4-on-4. It was really cool. It was a lot of fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah, just everybody that mattered walked away happy. PB&J, I do not fault them at all for being a little upset. I mean, it's a tough position, you know. It's no one wants to go that far and do all those battles and almost win, you know what I mean? And one-on-one, I get it. You know, there's no hard feelings between us. Everybody will simmer down and stuff. I was super proud of how that team performed this year. Mm-hmm. We actually ended up facing them earlier last year, and they had a lot of tough luck, and I don't know if they did very well last year. And seeing them come back, not only make the feature, but battle for second place and really make us sweat for it. I mean, it was really cool to see the improvement.
There's a couple teams this year at the virtual Blizzard Bash that really turned some heads. Parker's crew there, PB&J and Ham. That circles the Derby Products and Ham Derby Products getting behind that team, and Kelby Miners driving with that team. He took the car down to second place as the last representative from that crew. Those guys, they went through without losing until they got down to the finals. They had the winners bracket, opening round, second round, bang bang, they got through.
Nice.
And they did pretty well. And then there was the A team. That was a bunch of the Canadian drivers got together, and Mitch Poisson and Dale Case, Travis George. Those guys had a heck of a weekend. Really turned some heads, and they almost they're going to be a group to reckon with when they get some momentum going.
Yes.
Dale even brought a shocker, which was cool. You know, that was
Can't beat
fun to
that.
see. Yeah, it was an outstanding weekend. A lot of time with the computer, a lot of graphic time trying to keep everybody updated on stuff. But it was a ton of fun, and it served its purpose. Got everybody talking about Blizzard Bash because it's
coming.
Hang on, it's only about 2 weeks away. Are you ready for that?
Yeah.
2 weeks away. I bet you there's a bunch of builders out there that aren't.
Yeah, that's for sure. That's for sure.
How's Jason?
I'm sure he doesn't like it every time you say how many weeks there is.
That I trust. I think probably Creetlow and 16 national teams and 16 qualifying teams feel the same way. The limited well teams, they're probably no happier to hear about it, no less the compact crew.
Oh yeah,
we've had basically 2 years to build for it, and everybody's still coming down to the wire.
Mm-hmm. That's for sure.
Awesome. Well, Kody, man, I appreciate you coming and hanging out for a little while. Congratulations again to the team. Sorry about muffing the punt there. Tried to get all those names mentioned again in proper order for Jacoby, Earl, Dustin, and Kody coming with the win there in virtual Blizzard Bash. Any final thoughts?
I just wanted to thank Hunter Wood, American Beans. He did more than anyone could know for that team. He may not have been in a car on there, but he was there in testing nights. He was helping people with builds. He basically paved the way for us to run. I mean, he did as much as bringing the car down to the end as much without actually having the car there. I mean, he did everything for us.
And he was the last representative for Koch IFD last year. He took second place, and
Nice.
the
Yep.
last representative for that team last year. So
And I was so proud of the teammates. I knew that we had acquired a team that was almost like cheating, but I was still proud of them for their performance. I mean, Fluffy has won a ton of shows, and I believe he won the kicker class at Bash for Cash.
Mm-hmm.
And Earl won the Turn Back the Clock class at Bash, and I got second to him. And Dustin is always a strong competitor, and he's been around, I think, longer than all three of us on the game. He's one of the originals, so
right. Yes, that's true.
I felt pretty good with a team like that. And I got a little nervous when Earl got out at the end. I was like, no, not my money, man.
Well, here's hoping that next year in 2022 you draw PBJ and Ham in the opening round.
I would rather not.
Awesome. Tiffany's still hanging out there in the live chat. Oh man, I can't believe it's 7:15 already.
Yeah, time flies.
374 flying through. Kody, man, again, congratulations. Appreciate you coming on and hanging out with us here for a little while. We're gonna we got to get out of here and make some space for the folks that got to get in here after us.
All right, thanks for having me.
Appreciate you coming on, Kody. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, fellas.
See you now.
Good one.
Kody Koch with Team Koch getting ready to host a couple derbies here coming up in the coming weeks, and Jason staying busy getting ready for
Blizzard Bash.
the Blizzard Bash, and Kody winning in the virtual Blizzard Bash. Jason even popped in the live chat on the stream a couple of times last
Really?
night during the.
That's cool.
It made me get really, really nervous.
Oh, that doesn't sound good.
Hey, guess what? That's not a train.
Nope.
I don't know if you can hear the sirens not outside. It's might be a good time to pack it up and get out of here. Everybody, appreciate you hanging out with us for a little while. It was nice to be back on a Monday, back to getting a little bit of regular schedule. We should be back here again next Monday. God willing, we'll be here.
Willing.
Appreciate everybody hanging out again. Congratulations, everybody, on the weekend. Go have some fun down there at Buried Alive 2 with Dead Man Derbies. We'll see you next time.
The Crash Course Live is presented by
Smash It Demolition Derby, who host Bash for Cash, Blizzard Bash, and Capital City Carnage. Online at smashitderby.com. And Stirring Dirt Racing, hosts of Maymania's team show at the Golden Spike Arena in Ogden, Utah. Online at stirringdirtracing.com.
Reckless Abandon Derby Apparel and Derby Inc. Magazine. This is the Crash Course Demolition Derby podcast, recorded live at the FingerLakes1.com studios in downtown Seneca Falls, New York.